let everyone see what true evil is. This is something that could impact a generation and generations to come.
Y'all, this Erica Kirk Israeli honeypot story just got way more sinister.
Up the devil horns. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I do not know what to say.
Look, Erica Kirk is a spook. I've seen enough. Erica Kirk is a plant. We all know that. That is a fact. That is basically established. She was shopping around for a political husband. God knows where she comes from. She found one in Charlie Kirk. I agree. I think she is not who she says she is, because there's all these clips coming out. She's in a music video. She's on these reality TV shows. I'm hearing she dated other people in the conservative movement. It's like, why is it that that's always the back?
Erica Kirk's carefully constructed image is collapsing fast. Insiders from within her own organisation are now exposing her personal connections to the three-letter agencies. And what they're revealing is darker than anyone imagined.
A media storm triggered by just one image. And that, for many, is no longer a coincidence. It's a strategy. Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes just left comments that set the internet ablaze. In just a few hours, their words have ignited a wave of debate surrounding Erica Kirk, who is now the center of rumors, theories, and unconnected dots.
Turning Point USA insiders have been telling us the organisation has been quietly infiltrated, taken over, by intelligence operatives. Under Erica Kirk's leadership, a new era has begun. One where spies and handlers pull strings behind the scenes, shaping narratives and controlling outcomes. This didn't happen overnight. The groundwork was laid years ago. According to those on the inside, the hallways have been crawling with the spooks for years.
For you. My point is that she knew exactly what she was doing. She was capitalizing. She was working the phones, using her husband's literal dead to tug on your heartstrings and soften you up. And what do you know? Immediately after that, the emails and the texts asking for donations from every different angle started flooding in. And that, my friends, is gross.
No one said the same thing, but each left a blur that made the public unable to stop speculating. And then, the accusations continued to spread. Some called Erica a mysterious figure, someone who stood in the shadows. Others claimed she was simply a victim of a hoax.
We're going to be doing about 5 more episodes a week now, so just tell the team and make sure that happens.
3 hours of this, 2 more hours of...
It's like, lady, wasn't your husband just publicly executed only a couple of weeks ago? I've never had this much joy on my best day. She's just full of joy.
Look, Erica Kirk is a spook. I've seen enough. Erica Kirk is a plant. We all know that. That is a fact. That is basically established. She was shopping around for a political husband. God knows where she comes from. She found one in Charlie Kirk. Do you think Charlie Kirk is the Riz master? He's not a good-looking guy. Dude, you know what she said on a podcast? I saw a clip of her on a podcast, and she said, I can't focus with him in the room because I'm just going to be looking at him. Now, that's some good acting. Now, you had me. Then I saw that clip. You know, maybe you had me when she did the first speech next to his chair. But when I saw that clip and she said, I'm not going to be able to focus with him in the room, he's too handsome. It's like, now that's some bad acting. That is some serious, that is a serious acting job. So I think she's a plant, obviously. But does that mean that they took him out to put her in? Not necessarily. I think that it's a political marriage. She's an operative. He's an operative. He happened to be killed. She's going to take over his responsibilities. It is what it is. I agree. I think she is not who she says she is, because there's all these clips coming out. She's in a music video. She's on these reality TV shows. I'm hearing she dated other people in the conservative movement. It's like, why is it that that's always the background?
Candace Owens suggested that the pressure around Charlie didn't come from outside, but from the people he once trusted the most. Nick Fuentes went further. He questioned Erica's silence, why she disappeared and suddenly returned, and how she quickly took control, turning everything upside down overnight. For many followers, this was suspicious. They began to talk that the relationship between Erica and Charlie seemed more than a simple marriage, that it might be more strategic than emotional. As the days passed, the suspicion grew. At first, no one dared to say anything, but after the memorial, when details like fireworks and photos spread, the wave of suspicion could not stop. People began to scrutinize every frame, every word. They learned about their families, about their pasts, and then concluded that something was going on. She wants to be the iconic widow? Fine, one commenter wrote. But she's also controlling the entire organization he left behind. The story has taken on the appearance of a political twist, calculated, planned, and executed like a massive media campaign. No concrete evidence has been presented, but at this point, it doesn't seem to matter. The rumor mill is strong, and every whisper only fuels the fire. Supporters say that finally, someone has dared to say what everyone else has only thought. "This is the most dramatic performance I've ever seen," one host remarked. "There's no hiding it, no sugarcoating it. Think about the timeline. Her partner just died, and just a few days later, a lavish public funeral is held as if it were a media event." What shocked the public even more were the images that circulated from the ceremony, of Erica standing beside the casket, camera flashes, a smile that seemed too perfect, a pose too confident. For many, it was no longer a moment of grief, but a moment of performance. And it was that unnatural feeling that turned grief into disbelief. Critics saw the whole thing as a hot tea made to attract attention. Some viewers saw it as a desperate attempt to turn tragedy into content, while others were drawn to Erica's cool composure. For if there really was nothing to doubt, why did the story keep generating new questions? The more one observed, the more it felt like something was off, as if everything was orchestrated too perfectly, too smoothly to be random. The incident became even more widespread when a video went viral showing Erica briefly raising her hand in what many considered a strange symbol. Some saw it as an unconscious act, a habit of taking a photo. But others insisted she knew exactly what she was doing. And so, within hours, social media exploded. One person recounted, "I saw that video and couldn't believe my eyes. I sent it to my best friend right away. I swear it was real." Then thousands of others began sharing the same clip, each with their own perspective and explanation. Some said it was just a normal symbol, like what young people do. Others thought it was a sign of something deeper, more obscure. The biggest question now is no longer what that action means, but why she did it at that moment. If your husband had just gone through a major event, would you stand in front of the camera, smile, and raise your hand like that? That left the public in a state of confusion. They didn't know whether to read that moment with their hearts or with suspicion. But what fueled the controversy was not the hypothesis, but the real, clear, and emotional comments. Just a few short lines from influencers can completely change the tone of the conversation. Overnight, the atmosphere is different. What makes this situation so tense is not just what Candace or Nick say, but Erica's silence. Not the silence of private grief, but the purposeful silence. Controlled, calculated, almost with the energy of a media strategy.
Let me tell you something, this right here. It's the most performative bullshit I have ever laid my eyes on in my entire life. There's no way around it, no sugarcoating what's staring us all in the face. Think about the timeline. For 1 second, your husband gets assassinated, shot point blank in the fucking neck, and then just 2 or 3 days later, you're rolling out an open casket funeral like it's some kind of public spectacle. And let's not forget the photo op you did right there next to that casket. You stood there posing like this was a red carpet moment instead of a moment of unspeakable grief.
Viewers sensed it almost immediately. Some called it cold, even unnatural. Others chimed in, "Everyone grieves differently." And yes, everyone has their own way of dealing with loss. But for those who watched closely, what was confusing was not her silence. It was the way she was silent. Because Erica's composure didn't feel like someone trying to recover from a loss, but like someone controlling the narrative. She didn't disappear, but she didn't really show up either. No interviews, no emotional sharing, no spontaneous statements. Just a few carefully chosen statements, cold, concise, and so perfect that it made people suspicious. Meanwhile, media channels and official accounts began posting emails, messages, and calls for support from all directions. Some said, she's using the moment to raise funds, to keep her husband's legacy alive. But to others, it had a different nuance. An emotional campaign launched at the moment the public was at its weakest. And then, as time passed and Erica remained silent, curiosity turned to suspicion. No interviews, no public moments of weakness, just a wall of silence that grew thicker. And because the internet never stands still, that silence was quickly interpreted in many different ways. For some, it was a sign of avoidance. For others, it was a tactic to maintain control of their image. For the most skeptical, they believed, And that was when the first hypotheses began to form. Erica Kirk had been virtually invisible to the public before, but now, when she appeared, everything was so perfect it was almost unreal. Perfect makeup, carefully styled hair, exquisite outfits, and an unreadable calm in her eyes. Even the tears, if any, seemed calculated to not smudge her eyeliner. Candace Owens, after returning from Montana, said on air that she needed to reset. And in a moment that was both ironic and honest, Candace said she felt like she was expressing more emotion than Erica, the wife at the center of the incident. It was like, Candace said, I was the one mourning, not her. But it wasn't just the emotion that got the public talking, it was the timing.
We came across something more solid. We reviewed the footage that Shayna brought her. Of course, we downloaded everything, but hadn't actually reviewed it, had wiped from the internet. And yeah, the proof is in the pudding, and I'm going to let you hear it. Now, to set this up, you will recall that Shayna and his close friends that nobody knows, apparently, they were retracing the footsteps of the killer. They were at his grandma's house, he said. And he's speaking on camera with his aunt to set this footage up for you. And sure enough, you're going to hear right in the beginning, his aunt is going to mention that there was a woman who was helping the shooter, and she's not sure whether or not that person was an accomplice. I would say if you're helping the shooter, you were an accomplice, but somehow we all missed this in this actual clip that Shayna had posted and has since been wiped from the internet. Take a listen.
If you time how long it took him to get from that little part over to here, was way longer than it should have been.
Candace Owens, in her usual style, doesn't shy away from anything. She says bluntly that inconsistencies like this are what keep the public asking questions, and that, as silence continues, the theories will only grow stronger. When Candace Owens decided to speak up about Charlie's story, she didn't do it softly or ambiguously. She started in her usual style, blunt, decisive, and with the underlying message, I'm going to say what everyone else is afraid to say. That tone immediately sparked a strong reaction. Candace isn't one to express her feelings often, but this post was different. She made it clear that if she were in her situation, she would hope her partner would spend more time mourning than returning to work after just a few days. The statement quickly went viral, retweeted by thousands of people. Some viewers agreed, thinking Candace was simply speaking for the public, but others were offended because the words seemed to be directed at Erica. Some thought Candace was reopening wounds, while others saw it as a necessary wake-up call. More and more, people were paying attention to the way Candace spoke, not just the content, but the energy behind each sentence. She didn't name names, didn't point fingers, but each sentence, each beat had a clear implication. She talked about the pressure around Charlie, about the people close to her who were no longer her support, and about the strange atmosphere in the final months. All of it was delivered in a low, controlled voice, but it still sent shivers down the spine. Because it wasn't what she said that was scary, it was how she said it. It felt like there was something untold behind every word. Candace knew that. She knew how her audience would react. She knew that one sentence, one prompt, would be enough for the crowd to connect the missing pieces. And it did. When the post appeared, the internet exploded. People started talking, speculating, reconstructing timelines, sharing clips, writing analysis. Candace didn't accuse anyone, but she did exactly what she wanted to do. Open the door just enough for the public's imagination to do the rest. Candace's supporters praised her for daring to touch on a topic that most people avoided. They called it courage, the act of someone unafraid to break the wall of silence. Critics, on the other hand, said she was deliberately stirring the pot, adding fuel to an already smoldering fire. But no matter which side you stood on, one thing was undeniable. Candace Owens completely changed the tone of the conversation. What had initially been whispered, implied, became the official topic, and all eyes were on her. Then, just as Candace was being seen as the spark, Nick Fuentes came along and turned that spark into a real fire. He didn't use metaphors, he didn't beat around the bush. Nick went straight to the point, powerful, shocking, and clearly calculated to create a reaction. And it worked beyond expectations. Where Candace hinted with subtlety, Nick threw in explosive energy. He said things Candace had only hinted at, but in a way that made the listener jump, stop, and ask, wait, what is he implying? Instantly, the mood on social media changed. TikTok was flooded with collages. Twitter exploded with debate. YouTube was flooded with reaction videos. Not calm analysis, but heated, extreme emotions. A new wave was created, and Nick Fuentes was at the center. He didn't start the rumor storm, but he turned it into a Category 5 tornado.
Erica marries Charlie Kirk. That's what's suspicious about all this. Charlie Kirk was a shill. Doesn't deserve to die, but that's what he was. His wife was put with him in an arranged marriage. That could not be more obvious. With each passing day, for 1 week, nobody wanted to say it. Then the memorial, people questioned the fireworks. Then they kept pushing, and people started to say, all right, you know what? Go Ducks? Really? You see that? Then we start seeing the clips. Then we start finding out the parents' background, her background. Now people are saying, all right, enough. She want to be the widow, whatever. But she seizes control of the group. They start pushing her everywhere, and that's what it is. It's a calculated political breakout moment.
And as Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes both added fuel to the conversation, the internet stopped just watching. It started participating, arguing, and choosing sides. But the real turning point came when Erica Kirk returned. It wasn't a normal return. It was carefully planned, theatrical, and almost immediately heated things up. When Erica posted her first message after weeks of silence, most people expected her to speak up to appease, to clarify, or at least to put the story to rest. But what they got was something else entirely. Instead of appeasing, her speech turned the conversation on its head. Instead of quelling the controversy, she found herself at the center of it. Erica's voice, calm, slow, perfectly clear, felt to many like something too right. There was no tremor, no hint of emotion.
No one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD, in Vice President JD Vance. I do. And that's why I'm so blessed to be able to introduce him tonight.
To the audience, it felt less like a heartfelt message than a carefully written and rehearsed message. No longer a woman in mourning, but a public figure in control of her narrative. The contrast sent social media into a frenzy. Half said she was strong, calm, and professional. The other half said she was cold, calculating, even emotionless. And within hours of the video's release, social media was clearly divided. No longer a quiet conversation. It was a wave of controversy that was loud, seething, and spreading faster than ever. When Erica Kirk's video was released, public reaction was clearly divided. One side praised her for her composure, arguing that in the midst of a public storm, her silence and restraint were a sign of dignity. They said, no one has an obligation to express their grief on camera. She has the right to live with her loss in her own way. But the other side didn't see it that way. They felt that Erica's message, even for a few minutes, lacked emotional weight. Her voice was too calm, her eyes too firm, her words too polished. To them, it was no longer a sign of strength, but a sign of detachment, control, and calculation. And it was this contrast that made Erica's video the perfect catalyst for a debate that has never stopped. The line between charming strength and unsympathetic coldness became a hotbed of social media debate. Forums, podcasts, reaction videos, news channels, all of them were plowing into her every glance, every breath, every fleeting smile. The more people talked, the more the story swelled. The internet loves a good dramatic plot. And instead of closing this chapter, Erica's return opened a new one. People began to reread what Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes had said, but this time through the lens of Erica the responder.
Just doesn't sit right with them. Usually a groiper, but there is just post after post of this stuff. And this right-winger saying, if I pass away, I hope my wife mourns longer than a few days before she takes over my business. Or this one calling out how inconsistent she's been online about everything. And especially this one. I don't think I can read it out loud, but you get the point. I mean, I will say, just on my own personal grieving experience, that yeah, this seems incredibly soon to be doing anything after you've lost your husband. But people do grieve in crazy ways. But I think this is hitting a lot of people the same way, as something just doesn't feel right with this entire operation. Everything feels cultivated, planned, meticulously planned out, and we got a bunch of people telling us that the sky is green with a straight face.
Erica's name began to appear in every discussion, attached to assumptions that she had never confirmed, never denied. It was as if social media had chosen her to be the main character in a movie she never signed up to participate in. The internet has a strange habit. When it doesn't understand someone, it rewrites their story. And in Erica Kirk's case, It was her silence, her restraint, and her overly perfect appearance that made the public unable to look away. People stopped discussing what she said and started arguing about who she was. She became a mirror of the emotions of the times, where empathy could turn into suspicion, silence could be seen as a tactic, and every second of online imagery could be decoded as a political code. From there, the rumor mill was in full swing, no longer a commentary, but a cultural phenomenon. Erica Kirk was no longer just an insider. She had become a symbol of the mystery the internet couldn't let go of. And because Erica didn't speak out publicly with the same intensity as the rest of the world, her silence became a blank canvas for others to paint their own stories. Each person added a stroke, each hypothesis a color, and gradually, the silence itself became evidence. Erica wasn't trying to push the narrative. In fact, she was just being dragged into a wave she didn't start. When a woman in the throes of loss is placed at the center of a rumor storm, the internet doesn't need the truth. It just needs the most appealing version of the story. But amid the whirlwind, there were still sane voices. A small group of supporters began to push back, insisting that Erica was dealing with her own grief, and she owed the public no explanation. Grief has no timetable, they said. No one has to act out their feelings to be believed. For them, Erica's silence wasn't a tactic. It was her way of protecting herself. Meanwhile, others, weary of the hype and rumors, began to push back against those spreading the theory. They said that Candace and Nick may have started the fire, but it wasn't fair to blame Erica for the whole thing. After all, she wasn't the one writing the story. She was the one being written into it. Slowly, what became clear was not Erica herself, but how social media responded to the tragedy. In a matter of days, a story about loss turned into a hunt for meaning and culprit, where sympathy was replaced with suspicion. The name Erica Kirk was no longer associated with memory or grief. It was a byword for views, shares, and collective drama addiction. Erica, who was once a wife, a friend, a supporting character in a famous man's life, now finds herself at the center of a drama she didn't write. She doesn't speak, she doesn't react, and so everyone speaks for her. Every analysis video, every expose clip, every comment plays the role of narrator, confident that they know the truth better than the person involved. But when the wave starts to spiral out of control, when social media turns from speculation to personal attacks, when Erica's image is edited, her voice is imitated, and every moment of the funeral is made into a joke, the unexpected happens. A new wave emerges, this time not of gossip, but of defense. Strangers come to her defense, resharing her video with the hashtag #LetEricaGrieve. Psychologists, media experts, and even some celebrities began discussing the phenomenon of social media's second victim, when the bereaved person is subjected to a storm of judgment. They pointed out that the internet had blurred the line between sympathy and curiosity. People said they cared, but kept playing videos analyzing her every expression. They said they sympathized, but commented on her clothes, the way she stood, the way she sounded so calm. And while all the controversy was over, the one thing no one could deny was this: Erica never asked for attention. She just wanted peace, but the internet didn't know what peace was. By the time she decided to speak up for herself, the world was ready to judge, and no one expected her response to make things even louder. From the chaos, a wave of defense of Erica suddenly emerged, not from a media campaign, but from those who had been silent observers. They said the internet had gone beyond curiosity, becoming cruel and dehumanizing. In just a few hours, the entire dynamic changed. Gone were the joking comments and spill the tea captions. Instead, there were long posts, duets, and videos with the same message. Enough. She never chose to be a part of this story. For the first time since the tragedy began, the loudest voices were calling for a stop. They reminded that Erica did not choose the spotlight, and that grief is not a performance. Silence does not mean guilt. Sometimes, it is just a human being trying to survive their loss. The movement spread quickly. People tagged creators, protested the edited video, and called for a halt to the rumors. Hashtags like #LetEricaGrieve and Enough with the Rumors were all over TikTok and X. The internet went from spill the tea to let her breathe. The more people sided with Erica, the more people realized the story had gone too far. A few initial comments from influencers snowballed into judgment, turning an outsider into the center of attention. The backlash didn't erase the drama, but it left the public wondering, since when did other people's pain become entertainment? The internet never really stopped, though. As one side defended Erica, the other side ramped up its doubts. And the spotlight quickly shifted, back to the two people who lit the first fire, Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes. After hundreds of clips and analysis videos, the public began to ask, how did a few vague statements cause so much chaos? Two influencers shared their opinions, audiences followed, algorithms amplified, and suddenly, an ordinary woman was caught in a global storm. Looking back, everyone realized, behind the drama were still real people. Behind the viral clips, there were still people suffering. No one had the whole story, just fragments, emotions, and assumptions. A perfect recipe for a digital wildfire. And while Candace and Nick didn't want things to go that far, their influence was powerful enough to shape the entire conversation. One statement, one live stream, could create millions of reactions. And the internet took it as truth. If anything is revealed, it's not Erica's secret, but the terrifying speed and power of information in the digital age, where emotions are consumed as quickly as news, and no one stops to ask, do we really understand what we're talking about? Perhaps the lesson isn't about taking sides or defending someone. It's a reminder. Not every silence is a mystery, not every comment is a clue, and not every tragedy needs an audience to turn it into content. But this is still the internet, where everyone has an opinion. What about you, Candace and Nick? Have they gone too far, or is it the internet that has fanned the flames that no one can put out?